All right. We we're live. Um just waiting for CanFun to get on here. Here we go. View request. Um, ah, Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Molly.
How are
I'm
you?
good. How are you
Good.
doing?
Good. Thanks.
Thanks so much for hosting this IG Live.
Yeah,
Is my audio okay? You can
I
hear
can
me okay?
hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're great.
Perfect.
Awesome. Um, so first off, I would love to just talk to everybody who's on. Thank you to all the viewers for joining us. My name is Felicia George. I'm a three-time Olympian. I work with Can Fund. And Molly is a multiple Can Fund recipient. So Can Fund is a charity that supports over 68 sports, Olympians and Paralympians, funding the best athletic talent in Canada. And right now we're so excited because we're running a fundraiser specifically for cyclists and
Yes.
BMX and road racing. And we're like, what better way than to speak to someone who is iconic and doing amazing things in that community. And so I'm so excited to talk to you today,
Thank
Molly.
you.
And I was thinking we can maybe just kind of talk about your story, give
Sure.
your followers a little bit of like a behind the scenes
Yeah.
with what's going on with you, and then we'll talk a little bit about the fundraiser some more.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think just for those of you that don't know, I started BMX at the age of 10. My cousin Mitchell used to race, and he always wanted me to try it, and I used to see pictures and videos of him doing it. I'm like, okay, like what is this sport? Like that looks awesome. What's going on? But I ended up playing hockey for a while, and I thought hockey was my passion. But I ended up trying BMX, and I bought a bike the very first day. I was like, Dad, we need to just buy a bike. Like, this is amazing. So kind of ever since then, I got my first bike, and I continue to play hockey as well. But I think at the age of 15, 14 kind of ish, I made the switch. Like, okay, BMX is what I want to do. Um, Kind of let's see how far we can go in that. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm curious, like, what was was there anything specific about BMX that kind of drew you to it? Because you're playing
Yeah.
hockey. Was there something about BMX that you were like, I just know that this is why I love this?
I think just the adrenaline,
Mm-hmm.
like you're just so immersed in every lap, like you're just in this present moment of laser focus. And I think that was something that I really enjoyed. Kind of always been a adrenaline junkie, so just that rush, that feeling of finishing and racing is just something that I crave. Hmm.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I know, like, let's say if you're going in for like a race, because you talked about being like laser focused,
Hmm.
is there anything you use or you say to yourself to help you get into the present moment to stay more
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
on those days?
Yeah, I think just like before the race starts, just to remind myself to be my best self now. Kind of that's all that matters is right now. Some days we're feeling off, or we're feeling good, or you're sick or something, and in the end you just have to be your best self in that moment, because that's all we can do.
Mhm,
So that's something that I do, just to remind myself, like, just be you right now.
mhm,
And yourself is good enough. So
mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
That's great advice. I wish someone was telling me that when I was getting ready to
Yeah,
compete a lot of those days.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm curious, do you remember the first time you represented Canada and how did that feel?
yeah. It was the first, like, on the world stage would have been in 2019 in Manchester. It was my first World Cup. Um, yeah, yeah, I was starstruck. I was lined up against my idols, specifically being beside Mariana Pajon. She's a very good BMX racer. She's from Colombia. I remember, and I was just like, wait, like
Mm,
how, I think I was 16, and I was like, this is crazy right now.
yeah,
So that race was kind of like my first worldwide race with Maple Leaf on,
yeah.
and it was, yeah, I remember it till this day that it was just a really special event for me, and competing beside the best in the world. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such an honor to be able to represent your country, to
Yeah,
wear the maple leaf, wear the red and white. Um,
exactly.
Part of what Can Fun does is about supporting the best athletic talent in Canada.
Yes.
But as it's like everybody gets to see the moment at a competition,
Hmm.
the however many seconds or however of a race, but there's so much behind the scenes work
Right.
happening. And that's where I guess a lot of that funding is needed to
Hmm.
make sure you can prepare and be at your absolute best. So
Yeah.
you've applied to Can Fund, you've been a multiple Can Fund recipient.
Hmm.
Can you just tell me a little bit of what the impact Can Fund has had on
Sure.
your preparation?
Yeah, I think I remember the first time I received the Can Fun phone call. I was actually in the parking lot with my friend Kira, and we were getting a Starbucks, and I got the call. I wasn't really sure, like, if I was gonna get the funding. Like, I was just like, oh, maybe this is a call just about like how I'm doing and what's going on, just more to know more about me.
Yeah.
And when I heard the news that I was, receiving the funding, like I just, I had tears in my eyes right away. Like it's just, it, yeah, it changes your life. Funding is something that allows you to achieve your dreams and to continue doing what you do. And I think for me mentally, like having the stability, like knowing that I have this funding that's going to help me get to certain races and training camps was the biggest for me. Less stress, felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders when I received that news. Um, so yeah, I think like just emotional well-being for me was a big one, and it really impacted me through that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's super cool. Yeah. I love the fact that Camp Fun, like, it's the Camp Fun call, and
I
it's
know.
so easy, like, it's easy to not to send an email but I think
Yeah.
it's like again, Camp Fun is so big on community and really being athlete centered,
Hmm.
and connecting with the athletes on a deeper level and giving that kind of like magical experience of, hey, you're getting $8,000,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and so in this push and this lead up to Paris, there's a bunch of people on our wait list who are
Hmm.
cyclists, who are BMX road racers.
Yeah.
And our goal with this fundraiser is to ensure that everybody is going to get
Right.
$8,000 so that they can prepare to their best of their abilities. So what are some of the things that you personally have had to like use funding
Yeah.
for, or maybe like a back or a difference in May? Like once you had this money, you were
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, cool, like I got this.
Yeah.
Like what? Is it like that?
Yeah, I think for me, I most of those funds were allocated right towards travel. Like nowadays, a flight to get to Europe round trip is easily 2 grand. So having, we have 8 World Cups in a year. I put all that money towards getting to those World Cup races, which most of them are in Europe, some of them are in America. Um, but yeah, I would say travel right away was my first, like, okay, this is where these funds are going to go. And that's kind of the big money drainer, I think, in BMX is the travel.
Mhm.
So yeah, specifically, I use that for my World Cup events and getting to those races.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
awesome. And just
Yeah,
being able to be in competitions, like you were saying, like you were racing against your idol, like
yeah.
being able to be in competitions with people who are at a high level. Because
Hmm.
to be competing at the Olympics, you need to be at your best, so you got to compete with the
Exactly,
best. Right? I love
exactly. Yeah.
that. I love
Hmm.
that. Okay, so has there been like a defining or like a breakthrough moment in your career,
Hmm.
um, where maybe things weren't going so great, but then you just had like things turn around where you're like, oh, I've kind of arrived.
Yeah. I think I think if I'm thinking back to 2022, at the end of the year, I ended up getting a severe infection with my wisdom teeth removal surgeries, and I think experiencing something so devastating and scary, um,
Mm.
being able to recover from that and turn around and have a very successful year, I think that was like my turning point was coming out from my worst and then coming back and being one of the top girls. I think that was just like, it was mind blowing. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it out of the hospital. I didn't know, I just remember being like, I'm so slow on my bike now. Like, what are we gonna do? Like my first gym session back, I looked at my coach and I was like, I couldn't even lift like 60% of my maxes, and I was like, I can't even lift this weight right now, and it's supposed to fly up.
Yeah,
So I think like just experiencing those hardships and then coming back into the race scene and yeah, coming back stronger, I think. So I would say 2023, the start of the year, was kind of like my realization of like, okay, here we go, here we are, and I can be one of the best in the world, and yeah, it was a special moment for me.
that's
Hmm.
awesome. I think
Yeah.
so many levels to one have a challenging moment
Yes.
and to persevere and be resilient throughout it, but then to come out like to just know that like just because you have a challenge, it doesn't define you. You can be
Hmm.
better through it.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking for everybody who's listening, it's kind of like sometimes you're in that like low in that moment. You're like, it's so
Yeah.
inspiring, and that's what I love about athletes.
Yeah.
We get to inspire people to see their potential and
Exactly.
what's great. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to say to anybody who is on live here with us today, thank you so much for joining us. But if you have any questions for Molly,
Hmm.
please put them in the chat and we'll try to get
Yeah.
to them. So I
Yes.
don't want to be taking all the questions. But
Yeah.
yeah, so again, leading into Paris, I think it's less than 50 days going to
Hmm.
Paris now.
Yeah.
And this is a crucial time to make sure
Yeah.
you're getting everything that you
Hmm.
need. Um, and so how's like preparation been? How's
Hmm.
the lead up been? How's training going?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've been trying to enjoy it. I think like having this, like, this is my first games and kind of my first preparation for such a large event. So really we're just going in with, we're not changing anything at all. It's, you don't need to change anything or try harder or train harder, and just try not to overdo it, I think, and just keeping it the same as, what we've been doing is working. So why would we change things, I guess?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, just like going into training with a smile on my face and enjoying and, being in the moment, and just, yeah, we've got less than 50 days. So it's just, how can I use these 50 days to just kind of, you know, be purposeful and intentional and have fun at the same time and not overwhelm myself, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Hmm.
great. It's funny you say that because when people ask me what the best advice I received, one of
Yeah.
my coaches told me going into an NCAA championship, she's like, do exactly what you did to get here.
Yeah.
Don't change anything, and
Exactly.
exactly what you did. And I carried that into every Olympic Games that I went to. I was like, it's a track with 10 hurdles, and I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
So you were primed and ready to go. You got great
Yes.
in your corner.
Yes.
So no, that's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then again, so we're going to be running this fundraiser, which is an awesome opportunity for people to specifically donate to, if you love cycling, if you love BMX. And so that link is actually in Molly's um,
Yeah.
bio right now. So if you're interested in donating, you can go ahead and donate. And we actually had Mike Foley, who is a track cyclist. He's willing to donate one of his Olympic jerseys and sign it with a
Awesome.
bunch of other track cyclists. So if you're one of the top 25 or the first 25 people to donate, we will choose a raffle from there to get this signed Olympic jersey to someone, which
Yeah.
I think is a pretty cool
That is
offering. And we're
so
very
cool.
thankful for Michael for offering that for everybody. Um, and then you were at our gala
Yes.
in
Yes.
February. And so did you have a big takeaway from like attending the gala? Like anything you
Hmm.
learned about CanFun in that moment or?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was actually my first like gala, like kind of my first event, like getting all dressed up, and then I had the opportunity to speak at the event as well. So that was like a bit nerve-wracking, but also really exciting. And I left leaving the event like so inspired. Like I was like on the plane ride home, I'm like, wow, I just like my heart felt so full. Like I'm just feeling all these emotions of, the community behind Can Fund and how it started and celebrating 20 years of it. It was just so special. So I think the biggest thing was leaving feeling inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And having the opportunity to speak and share a little bit about my story was also meant a lot for me to do that as well. So yeah, that night was a special one. It was magical for sure.
Really was. I mean,
Yes.
it was named Lots of Magic Gala. I think
Yes.
that was super cool was, when our founder, Jane Roos, started, they had their gala, I think, 10 years ago, they had funded 700 athletes at the time.
Yeah.
Then, here, fast forward 20 years of Can Fund, her standing on the stage, there was like 8,000 athletes that had been funded. And so,
Yeah.
like, wow, like what a big legacy and so many people impacted.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not done.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have
Exactly.
lots of athletes who are on our waiting list. We have 8,000 and we want to make that
Mm-hmm.
9,000 and 10,000
Yeah.
athletes. So, and there's no government funding from Can Fund. We get no government funding. And so it's all proud Canadians who are,
Mm-hmm.
supporting our athletes. And I'm sure you've heard like lots of people, wanting to support you and cheering you on, and
Yeah.
which is so awesome. Like when you're getting ready for games, it's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this fundraiser is really an opportunity for people to join in the journey, right?
Yeah.
And so when
Exactly.
they're home, they have this opportunity to be able to say, like, I was part of that. Like I
Yeah.
helped her, and I think that's what I love. You get
Yeah.
attached, you donate, but you also get an opportunity to find out the name of the athlete that you're supporting. So when you're
Exactly.
watching them at the games, it's kind of like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
Molly, look at Molly doing her thing. And I helped
Yeah.
her. So super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think yeah, anyone that donates is just donating to something like that's just amazing. Again, it changes athletes' lives and whatever they donate helps, right? So it's not like they need to donate these huge amount of funds, but whether it's $20, $10, five, like it all adds up and helps us all. And yeah, just seeing like how many people are applying to Can Fund is really cool as well. And also like yeah, it's just this community of athletes, wanting to support each other and again, Canada just helping Canadian athletes, achieve their dreams. So it's a very, very cool charity for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a question from Paige.
Paige Walls.
Um,
Yeah.
what has your biggest struggle been with preparing for the Olympics?
Yeah. Good question. I think for me would be not changing things because I initially had that first meeting with my coach, like saying, like, wait, should we be doing this and this? Like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we going to this camp earlier or things like that? That's been the challenge for me. So just sticking to what we're doing is the challenge. I think I'm someone to like see what other people are doing and then kind of get curious about it and be like, okay, wait, should I try that or why aren't we doing that? So I think just like staying in my lane and staying on my process and program is a challenge. And yeah, so just working through that every day and making sure I'm trusting what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I know what you might say because you've said it a few times, but is there a mantra or words that you live by?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe that help trust and help you stay focused on where you're trying to get to?
Yeah, so I actually have this, me and my sports psych have been working on this inner coach that I have kind of within myself. And
Hmm.
her name is Rogue. So she's actually this full character that I've kind of
What?
built up in my mind and I've I've she's on a piece of paper, like I've drawn her. She's kind of developing to be this character that is kind of there for me and to help with things like that. Like, say I'm feeling like, oh, I'm just thinking about what other people are doing, or I'm just not in the present moment at all. She would then bring me back in line. And she's always bringing me back to my center self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of one of the tools I use is my inner coach. Is yeah, something that I can use when I'm feeling not like myself or I'm needing a little bit of help with some things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think
Yeah.
even just creating the imagery
Yeah.
around it is powerful as well. That's a
Yeah,
great tool
exactly.
for anybody listening
Hmm.
to use. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, do it. No, yeah, just literally create this character, somebody that's like inside you that's, helping you.
Yeah,
If you're feeling negative or down, then you can just have somebody like, hey, like it's all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, mhm.
Um, so it's interesting. Alexa just asked, when you get down on yourself after a bad race, what do you do to make yourself stronger for the next race? So
Hmm.
inner coach is probably coming out.
Yeah.
What was her name? Rogue?
Rogue, yeah.
Rogue.
So yeah, something like that. Like for example, World Champs this year was a tough one. Didn't go too well for me, but I think main thing is to accept the emotions, accept what happened, and then that'll kind of allow you to move on and find the positives, take those positives and use them to continue growing. Like I failure sucks, but I think it's the most important thing. Honestly, it's you learn so much when it happens. So, yeah, when a bad race happens, I just make sure to review it, accept it, and kind of analyze what can I use from that experience to push myself further.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Coach
Mhm.
Ray wants to know, when does the Olympic bike get released?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So the Olympic bike is being painted right now. I actually just revealed a pink bike today on my Instagram, and so Daylight Cycles sent me this bike for Olympic prep specifically for training and just to have this new setup. But yeah, the Olympic bike is being painted at the moment, and I'm probably going to reveal that sometime in the beginning of July. So yeah, I'm excited. I haven't actually seen any photos of it. I have the general idea of what they're doing, but I'm sure it's going to look amazing. So I'm excited.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what have you learned about yourself through sport?
I think, oh, that's a tough one. Hmm. Through sport.
Or just
Um,
on this journey
yeah,
that you've been on? Like sometimes it doesn't always happen, like
yeah,
in a race or something like that. But yeah.
right. Mhm. I think what I've learned the most, like for myself, is I guess I want to say passion and love are kind of the two words that come to mind right away. Is kind of what I'm putting into this sport and BMX. I also want to put it into my family and
Mm-hmm.
friends, like just being somebody who's supportive and again passionate about everything I do. So I think sport has allowed me to have that same dedication to other things in life. I would say, family and friends and just the small wins and things like that. Just trying to be intentional and like purposeful with whatever I do. Um, yeah, I think just being a better person all around, I think is what I've learned.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
thanks.
um, okay, so with the fundraiser that we're having specifically for cycling and BMX, like we said, the link is in your bio if anybody
Yes.
wants to donate. But is there anything you'd like to say to the people listening, to
Mhm.
the cycling and BMX community?
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. I think everybody that's on this live, if you could take a look at that link that's in my bio. I think if you can donate, great. If not, you can just learn a little bit more about CanFund and what CanFund is and what they do. I think it would mean a lot to me, and I think you as well, and CanFund and all the Canadian athletes kind of searching for funding at the moment, and maybe they need a little bit of help. So I think it would mean a lot for us to you know if you guys can gain some more knowledge on CanFund, and if you can donate, that'd mean a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Amazing. What
Yeah,
are you looking forward to the most about competing at an Olympics?
yeah. Um, I'm just really excited to enjoy the experience and embrace it all. And I I think it's my first games. I have nothing to lose, so it's also kind of just literally going in with a smile on my face, having no expectations and just performing at my best and yeah, soaking it all in. I think I should be. I think I'm doing the opening ceremonies, so I think that's something that I'm very excited about. I did the opening ceremonies in Pan Am Games last year.
Mhm.
Like one if I could relive that day, I would a
Yeah.
thousand times over. And that was the Pan Am Games, so the Olympic Games opening ceremony. Oh my goodness.
I'm so jealous because Paris, they're riding in on boats, which
Yeah.
is like unheard of for an Olympic ceremonies. I'm like, that is so
Yeah.
cool that
Exactly.
So I really do hope you get to go to Olympic
Yes,
ceremonies. I think it's so cool.
yes. That I mean, just yeah, being on a boat and all the countries on this canal is gonna be amazing.
I love the feeling of like it's just like you're like wow, it's like the whole world coming
Hmm.
together. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I really feel that at like opening and closing ceremonies.
yeah,
You're like wow, it's like everybody in the world. This is a
exactly.
big
This
deal.
is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like that idea around like sport being this kind of like universal language that we all kind
Hmm.
of speak.
Yeah,
So no,
exactly.
I'm so pumped and excited for
Thank
you
you.
to.
Yeah, and what about you? Have you done some opening ceremonies or closing
I
ceremonies?
did. My only opening ceremonies I did was Pyeongchang, so Winter Olympics. So I did 2 summer and I did
Yeah,
1 winter.
yeah,
Um, so the two summers that I did, I was at a training camp getting focused.
yeah, yeah.
And the winter was my first one, and I really do appreciate that I got that opportunity.
Nice.
I always did closing.
Yeah,
I always did closing and closing too.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's
Awesome. That's so cool.
the balance between obviously the preparation and living the experience as well,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Um, we'll ask maybe like two more questions and then we'll wrap
Sure.
it up.
Yeah.
But do you have what would be the advice you would give to your younger self? I feel like that's a very common
Yeah,
question, but is there any advice
yeah.
for your younger self?
My younger self, I think I would, uh, like, I want to say live in the moment more, not stress about, future events. But then again, when I was a kid, I feel like I was like, crazy and living in the moment and doing random
I,
things and like,
I'm so surprised because you come across so chill to me. I'm like, yo,
yeah,
Molly, mad chill.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I guess
No,
it's different when you internalize things differently, or
yes.
like in stressful situations, it's different.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely I'm chill and relaxed, but I also have that side of like not panic, but more like worry or stress. So I think yeah, just going with the flow, I think, and just, living your life as it comes and accepting things as they hit you. And I think that would be probably my advice, especially when I first started, like, really getting into BMX, like, kind of hitting the professional scene. I think I did a lot of like focus on what other athletes were doing. So I think I would tell myself to just focus on you and yourself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's, so when I did bobsleigh, I started, and at first I was doing terrible, and a big part of it was I was just like so focused on what the other girls were doing,
Yeah,
and I made
yeah,
a very intentional decision to like not look at any times, not look at my time, not look at their times, and
yeah,
it was like I skyrocketed in my
yeah,
performances. It was so
yeah,
like wow, but I had to be really intentional
yeah,
about separating myself
exactly.
from that. Oh,
Exactly.
um,
Yeah,
great advice.
exactly.
It's hard to compare, but it's like if you can find a way to do it, it really gives you the chance to like tap into yourself.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
we have a from someone in the audience, and they
Hmm.
want to know what's your go-to pump-up song before.
Ooh. Oh,
What's the song
I
that
have,
happens before the Olympics? Like, what have you?
yeah, like I have a few. It depends on the day, but like I for sure would turn on a Katy Perry Last Friday
Yeah.
Night. I think that would just really, it just puts you in a good mood, especially if it's full blast, like you're just, jamming out. So that would be a good one. I think, yeah, Last Friday Night by Katy Perry.
Super cool.
Yeah,
Love it. Um,
yeah.
I think we're great on that. So we have the link in the bio.
Hmm.
Our goal is to fund all of the cycling, road racing, BMX
Yes.
athletes that we waitlist. And with Can Fund, usually you don't get to specifically, it's just a one main donation. So we thought this was like a really great opportunity for the people who love these specific sports. I think
Yeah.
a lot of times you're in this community, there's a specific sport that you want to watch.
Hmm.
So this is a great chance if you have an athlete that you love like Molly, and that or you love the sport and you just really want to see our athletes do well because it does
Hmm.
take a lot of funding. It does
Yes.
take finance, great, and so every little bit helps. When you
Hmm.
donate, you get a tax receipt. You also get to find out the name of the athlete that you're funding, which I think is super cool because then
So
when you're watching,
cool.
you can be like, "I was almost them. That's awesome." Um,
Yeah.
and we'll be running the fundraiser for a little while, so feel free to hop in
Yes.
and donate. And also, Michael Foley, I want to also talk about the fact that he is donating his Olympic jersey signed by a bunch of track cyclists, a bunch of Olympians, which is a super cool opportunity.
Yes.
So for the first 25 athletes, not first, the first 25 people who donate, we will choose someone to give that Olympic jersey to. And then
That is so cool.
it like
Yeah.
super.
That's awesome.
So Molly, thank you so much for joining me
Yeah.
today and on your IG.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody for tuning in today. You can go and check out CanFund at mycanfund.ca. Molly has the link to the specific fundraiser in her bio. We also
Mm-hmm.
have our bio. Um, and yeah, we're just excited to see Molly do amazing. I'm
Thank you.
excited to see you do amazing and or just
Uh,
to be out there
yeah.
competing, right? Like you said, going out there enjoying the moment, competing.
Exactly.
And we want all of our athletes to have that chance to just be able to max out their potential,
Yeah.
to be able to go to the Olympics, to great competitions, and be at
Mm-hmm.
their best. And I think when our athletes are doing that, we're inspiring the country, right?
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, thank you for this, and I think we've kind of spreaded the word about what CanFun is, and yeah, that link's in my bio, so we all would appreciate it if you were able to donate and just learn more about CanFun. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, so thank you.
Thanks, Molly. All right.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye bye.